Rock and Wiley, Jim Jackson is back. We're joined now by NBA insider Chris Haynes. Nice suit.
I mean, he church clean up in this.
Drip.
Testifying.
No.
That's that new Yahoo money.
Yahoo paying like that, Chris?
See the brother all right. See the brother all
All
right.
right, let's move to Boston, where the Celtics' disappointing regular season continued last night with a loss at home to the Blazers. It was the fourth straight loss for Boston, but after the game, Kyrie Irving made it clear he's tired of hearing about the team's recent struggles.
Yeah, you can't worry about the standings now. It's too late in the season. As long as we get there. I can't wait for all this other BS about regular season and keep getting better and talking over and over and over and again about what we can do to keep getting better in the regular season.
What's your confidence level in the team going forward?
What do you mean?
Just in terms of, we got
What question is that?
A legitimate question. I mean,
Nah.
How do you feel about this team?
Next question.
Man, Kyrie got a lot of buckets last night, but I think his attitude is a problem, and I think Kyrie is a problem is the problem in Boston.
I don't think he's the problem. I think there is a problem in Boston, and no one is being fully transparent about this. So they're punting the issue down the field and saying, okay, when it matters most in the postseason, we're going to hit the switch, and we'll deal with that issue then, and we'll play ourselves into success, and that won't happen. The issue is twofold for me. One, Brad Stevens, wonder coach. I'm not hearing the genius of Brad Stevens. I'm going to let
It's been quiet.
It's been quiet, right? That criticism, and I need to hear a little more of a roar from that. But Gordon Hayward, I get it. This is where I become heartless in sports. We grade you because they're grading you when you're on the court, injured or not, coming off injury or not. And imagine being on a team that went to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then you add Kyrie, you think he's going to be great. And then you got a guy getting 27 minutes a game, and he's averaging 11 points. Now, is this a charity case we're doing out here, or are we really just going to evaluate players for what they are? He's under a guaranteed contract. He's not going anywhere. Work on your game. Do something. But you're giving this guy starter minutes and getting bench production. And I think all the guys notice this. And then when you're a guy like whoever it could be, Jason Tatum, you got to go on the bench or whatever it may be, and you're Marcus Smart, and he's like, I'm not getting burned, and this dude's out there getting burned. I think that could eat up a locker room.
Well, look, Gordon Hayward, I kind of feel sorry for him because he's not back to form, obviously. He's still trying to work himself into the mix. The Boston Celtics have invested a lot of money, time, resources, and trying to get this guy back on the floor. So I understand what they're trying to do and give him as much minutes as possible without hurting the team to see if he can regain some type of form that he had in Utah. Now, with all that being said, I agree with you 100%. I don't necessarily think Kyrie is the problem, but he's the face of the problem over there in Boston. And for some reason, I just think people are kind of hiding. I brought up Brad before, but they kind of like hiding this guy, shielding him when all we heard last year was he was the next coming of Phil Jackson. He knows how to push every single button. His X's and O's are the best. And there's no doubt about it. I think X's and O's wise, coaching, his structure, his discipline, everything is great. It's impeccable. But when it comes to managing egos, when you have to sit a player down, talk to him, have some dialogue, say, hey, how can we get on the same page? Build a relationship. That's what I'm not hearing coming from the Boston Celtics. And then Kyrie, just a bad dynamic, a mix of his ego and things of that nature. So I think those kind of blend together is why we are where we're at with the Celtics.
Well, we're talking about spreading the blame around because it can't just go on one person, one individual. Let's start with coaches. You talk about this. To me, in the regular season, coaches manage minutes, egos, and injuries. That's what they do during the regular season. And when you get in the playoffs, that's when you really dive into the X's and O's. Brad Stevens' background was one at Butler where he had overachievers. Okay, he can allow the locker room to really police itself because they weren't overly talented, so they bought in. When you're successful, everything you do now is like, oh, A+, oh, he's doing well. There's no conflict last year. He didn't have that. Things were rolling. This year now, he couldn't really dive into holding people accountable, okay? So that's one issue. Second issue, we talked about this yesterday. Young players now feel it's my time. I got to come in here and prove myself based on what I did last year. I need to get better. My next contract is coming up. I want to be the guy. I'm anointed next. You're dealing with that. Kyrie, okay? As the face of an organization, you have to be responsible to handle this tough situations. okay? When you don't feel like it, when you don't feel like answering the question, when you don't feel like playing, you may be a little hurt, you're the guy, okay? And he's not handling that part well. So when you put all of that together, and the main person you don't hear from that's probably the most stable is Al Horford, okay? He's out of the mix. That's a guy that should provide the stability for the team, and you don't really hear from him from that. So you got all this stuff going on. You wonder why the Celtics are struggling. It's a mixture. It's like gumbo, bro.
Yeah.
Bad gumbo.
I still go back to Kyrie, and it's just like his words here. To me, you could hear him and think he's saying, hey, once we get to the playoffs, it's really going to matter and things are going to work themselves out. What I actually hear is a guy, can't wait till we get to the playoffs and get this. Because it's win or go home at some point in the playoffs, and he can go home and I can go to New York, I can go with Kevin Durant, I can start something new because this here ain't working.
Kyrie, a couple games ago, said in response to one question, go ask Brad Stevens, go ask Brad. And to your point, do you think he's being handcuffed? Like, when you know there's a problem, when you know this is the problem, but that guy is being protected and coached to the point where you are the face and you're taking all the hits, but you can't call him out? You think that's the dynamic?
I don't think he's being protected, though. I think Brad Stevens' resume is his resume. The guy had incredible success at Butler. When he came into the NBA, incredible success. Took that team to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's going to buy you some leeway.
It does.
And deservedly so.
Is it buying Kyrie the leeway to hit the game-winning shot in the NBA Finals and be
It did buy him some leeway, and that's why he got to he takes the most shots. He gets, despite the team being successful, he gets to be the guy. All right, coming up, the Pelicans benched Anthony Davis in crunch time last night. We'll tell you if the NBA should be concerned.